I already saw it. But I wanted to thank you. What you said, Hector, is exactly who my dad was. And I can't add to that, but I do want to say thank you to the Judo family that he had, because that was his family. And I see faces here that I remember participated in my dad's life. My dad participated in your life as family, and you were family. It didn't matter if you were the crosstown rival. One of the pictures up there, my favorite picture, is where we're in a dojo, and he has, I'll forget all the names, but every judo teacher from that era was on the mat with him, and he was happy as can be. He crossed all the lines, and if you're a competitor like I am in other sports, your crosstown rival isn't your best friend. Well, with my dad, everybody was his friend. If you were on the mat, you were his family. The other thing I wanted to say is, my dad was the hardest man I knew, and I put this in the eulogy on his memorial, but he was also the kindest man I knew. He wouldn't leave any kid behind. Everybody got to participate. If you didn't have money, it didn't matter to him. He was going to make sure you got to participate. If you wanted to, you would. And then he had his favorites, and I'll never forget this. I always remember George, and he's sitting over there. George was his favorite, and I'll tell you why. Right, the hardest judo instructor that I knew was my dad. He was hard on us. But George was the only one during a class that could go drink water, and my dad wouldn't say a word to him. Everybody else had to suffer, but when George went to get a drink of water, that's why I knew he was his favorite. And George, I want to thank you. Our family thanks you, because my dad worked for you in the later years, and he did. You don't know how much you did for my dad, and we thank you very much. The other thing I'll say, my favorite thing about my dad is, when I left in '79, it was almost like a divorce, right? Because I left judo, and our family went through a time where we decided we were going to separate. I was going to do my thing, and later on I got back into judo, and it was a good thing because we got together again. But I remember in the early 1990s, I invited him to come to Texas because I was living in Dallas, and I finally got him to come. It was one of those things, okay, he came to see me. And I took him on a men's retreat, and it was a Christian men's retreat. And we got to be there for 3 days out in West Texas. And on the third day there, he made a decision, and he gave his life to Christ. And that's the favorite thing that I remember about my dad. And on his deathbed, we were sitting there, and my dad has a dry sense of humor. We were sitting there, and I'm thinking, I kept asking, "You want water?" "No." "You want un suero?" "No." I was trying to help him, and then I found myself going, "This is, I need to just be there for him." So I decided to put some music on his phone, because he always had his phone by him. And I put some worship music, some Christian worship music in the room to change the atmosphere, make it a glorious time for him. And about 20 minutes went by, and he looked at me and says, "Okay, apaga el radio." And I said, "Okay, apaga el radio." Well, I knew a lot of those songs that were in there, so I started singing to him. I started singing some of those songs, and after about 5 minutes, he looked at me and says, "Okay, apaga el radio." And I said, "No, it's not the radio, it's me singing." And he says, "I know, apaga el radio." So that was at his time right there, and that was my dad. That was my dad. But that was my favorite thing. I was thinking about when I was coming out. His original dojo was when he was here in Miami. It was the YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association, and he loved the YMCA. He loved the YMCA. And in those last 2 weeks, he talked about all the dojos. He talked about everybody in this room. And we just reminisced about the good old times. Some people here got phone calls from him. And in those last 2 weeks, some didn't answer the phone, but he'd leave that message. "Hey, Amaro, llámame." And you hang up. "A ver cómo estamos." Llámame. That was it. So again, I want to thank everybody for what you meant to his life and to our family's life. And I got a lot of brothers in here, that I haven't seen in a long, long, long time. But I love you guys, and thank you very much.